Santa Cruz North is just like a little part of Santa Cruz where the mission home is and everything. And then the next area is an hour plane ride away. And then the next area is another hour plane ride. And so it's quite a big area, but there's not in between cities. Like there's just Santa Cruz and then the next one and then the next one. There's nothing in between. And then each city that you go to is pretty small. There's about 4 areas in the city. And the church is growing. I was like, we definitely had a lot of baptisms and growth. But as a whole, they kind of, after a while, they have less active members, more than converts you're teaching. We taught more less active members because the church was kind of taken away from that part of the world for a little bit because of the government. And so a lot of members were not able to go to church. And so it was their stories about how coming back to church and getting back on their feet, I guess, after that big gap of nothing for a while. So there was one member that was telling us about it. She's about, I think, in her 60s, and she said when she was a teenager, well, not a teenager, when she was like in her late 20s, it kind of stopped for a good like 10, 15 years of just, she couldn't go to church and there wasn't anyone in her city that they were going to church either. And so it had been a while since, but just the older members were the ones that would told us about it. So that's why she said that there was a lot more less active because they didn't teach their families. And then we would get them and get their families baptized with them and stuff. So in the city that we were in, there was 3 stake buildings or meetings, and then I believe it was 2 stakes. And then there was 1 district. And there was quite a few members with everything, and the culture is mostly Catholic though. So a lot of members would still do a lot of the same culture that Catholics do. And so it was hard to break their like traditions of their family basically. But if they knew it was true, that they would. But most people, when you knocked on the door, they would know a lot about the Bible, but not a lot of Book of Mormon. So you had to teach them that there's more than just the Bible type stuff. So know your Bible before you go there, honestly, because I sure didn't. And so it was fun to learn from them and them learn from us. That's kind of how we taught them, was you can teach us something from the Bible and we'll teach you something from the Book of Mormon. Yeah, so I served in 2015 and a little bit of 2016. And there was, in the ward that I was in, it was pretty small. And we were in Trinidad. And there was a good amount. There's, say, like 40 members or more each week. But we did it opposite, so you went to Relief Society first and then Sacrament was last. And so you wouldn't get very many women come to Relief Society, but then you would get most of them to come to Sacrament just because it was later in the day. So, but Relief Society, there was like maybe 5 of us every week.